Section 1600 Steel Reinforcement. Description: this work shall consist of furnishing and placing coated or uncoated mild steel or high strength deformed reinforcement bar of the shape and dimensions shown on the drawings and conforming to these specifications or as approved by the engineer general. Steel for reinforcement shall meet the requirement of section 1000 of these specifications. Reinforcement may be either mild steel or high strength deformed bars. They may be uncoated or coated with epoxy. Protection of reinforcement. Uncoated reinforcement steel shall be protected from rusting or chloride contamination. Reinforcements shall be free from rust, mortar, loose mills, scale, grease, oil, or paints. These may be ensured either by using reinforcement fresh from the factory or by thoroughly cleaning it using any suitable method such as sandblasting, mechanical wire brushing, etc. As directed by the engineer, reinforcements shall be stored above the ground in a clean and dry condition on blocks, racks, or platforms and shall be suitably marked to facilitate inspection and identification. Portions of uncoated reinforcing steel and dowel projecting from concrete shall be protected within 1 week after initial placing of concrete with a brush coat of neat cement mixed with water to a consistency of thick paint. These coatings shall be removed by lightly tapping with a hammer or other tool not more than 1 week before placing of the adjacent pour of concrete. Coated reinforcing element steel. Coated reinforcing steel shall be protected against damage to the coating. If the coating on the bars is damaged during transportation or handling and cannot be repaired, the same shall be rejected. In case of fusion bonded, epoxy coated reinforcement or hot dipped galvanized bar used. Reference shall be made clause 1010.3.2 of section 1000 of these specifications. Bending of reinforcement bar bending schedule shall be furnished by the contractor and got approved by the engineer before start of work. Reinforcing steel shall conform to the dimension and shape given in the approved bar bending schedule. Bar shall be bent cold to the specified shape and dimensions or as directed by the engineer using a proper bar bender operated by hand or power to obtain the correct shape and radii of bendings. Bar shall not be bent or straightened in a manner that will damage the parent material or the coating. Bars bent during transport or handling shall be straightened before being used on work. They shall not be heated or facilitate straightening, placing of reinforcement. The reinforcement cage should generally be fabricated in the yard at the ground level and then shifted and placed in position. The reinforcement shall be placed strictly in accordance with the drawing and shall be assembled in position only when the structure is otherwise ready for placing of concrete. Prolonged time gap between assembling of reinforcement and casting of concrete, which may result in rust formation of the surface of the bar, shall not be permitted. Reinforcement bars shall be placed accurately in position as shown on the drawings. The bars crossing one another shall be tied together at every interaction with binding wire nailed conforming to IS 280 to make the skeleton of the reinforcement rigid such that the reinforcement does not get displaced during placing of concrete or any other operation. The diameter of binding wire shall not be less than 1 mm. Bars shall be kept in position using usually by the following methods. In case of beam and slab construction, industrially produced polymer cover blocks of thickness equal to the specified cover shall be placed between the bars and formwork, subject to satisfactory evidence that the polymer composition is not harmful to concrete and reinforcement. Cover block made of concrete may be permitted by the engineer provided they have the same strength and specification as those of the member. In a case of dowels for column and wall, the vertical reinforcement shall be kept in position by means of timber templates with slots cut in them accurately or with cover blocks tied to the reinforcement. Timber templates shall be removed after the concreting has progressed up to a level just below the location. Layers of reinforcement shall be separated by spacer bars at approximately 1 meter interval. The minimum diameter of spacer bars shall be 12 mm or equal to maximum size of main reinforcement or maximum size of course aggregate, whichever is greater. Horizontal reinforcement shall not be allowed to sag between support. Necessary stage blocks, metal chairs, spacers, metal hanger, supporting wires, etc., or other subsidiary reinforcement shall be provided to fix the reinforcement firmly in the correct position. Use of pebble, broken stone, metal pipe, brick mortar, or wooden blocks, etc., as devised for positioning reinforcement shall not be permitted. Bars coated with epoxy shall be placed on supports that do not damage the coating. Supports shall be installed in a manner such that planes of weakness are not cleared in hardened concrete. The coated reinforcement steel shall be held in place by use of plastic coated binding wires especially manufactured for the purpose. Refer section 1000 of these specifications for other requirements. Placing and fixing of reinforcement shall be inspected and approved by the engineer before concreting is commenced. Bar splice lapping. All reinforcements shall be furnished in full length as indicated on the drawing. No splicing of bars except where shown on the drawing shall be permitted without approval of the engineer. The length of the splice shall be as indicated on the drawing or as approved by the engineer. Where practicable, overlapping bars shall not touch each other and shall not be kept apart by 25 mm or 1.25 times the maximum size of coarse aggregate, whichever is greater. If this is not feasible, overlapping bars shall be bound with angled steel binding wires not less than 1 mm diameter and twisted tight in such a manner as to maintain minimum clear cover to the reinforcement from the concrete surface. Left splices shall be staggered or located at points along the span where stress are low. Welding. Splicing by welding of reinforcement will be permitted only if detailed on the drawing or approved by the engineer. Weld shall deploy an ultimate strength equal to or greater than that of the bars connected. While welding may be permitted for mild steel reinforcing bars conforming to IS 432, welding of deformed bars conforming to IS 1786 shall in general be prohibited. Welding may be permitted in case of bars of other than Fe 240 grade, including special welding grade of Fe 415 grade bars conforming to IS 1786. Necessary chemical analysis has been secured and the carbon equivalent calculated from the chemical composition using the formula C equal to Cmn by 6 plus Cr plus Mgv by 5 Ni plus Cu by 15 is 0.4 or less. The method of welding shall conform to IS 2751 and IS 9417. May supplemental specification and clause 1904.8 of the specification to the satisfaction of the engineer. Welding may be carried out by metal arc Welding process. Oxyacetylene welding shall not be permissible. Any other process may be used subject to the approval of the engineer and necessary additional requirement to ensure satisfactory joints performance precautions on overheating, choice of electrode, selection of correct current in arc welding etc. should be strictly observed. All bars shall be butt weld except for a smaller diameter bars. Bars diameter of less than 20 mm which may be lap welded. Single V or double V butt joints generally be used for vertical bars. Single bevel or double bevel joints may be used. Welded joints shall be located well away from beds and shall be not less than twice the bar diameter away from a bend. Generally, soft welding in controlled condition is to be preferred. Where feasible, site welding where necessary shall, however, be permitted when the facility, equipment, process, consumable, operators, and welding procedures are adequate to produce and maintain uniform quality at par with a attainable in soft welding to the satisfaction of the engineer. Joint welding procedure which are to be employed such a invariably be established by a procedure specification. All welders and welding operators to be employed shall be qualified by the test prescribed in IS 2751. Inspection of welds shall conform to IS 822 and destructive or non-destructive testing may be undertaken when deemed necessary. Joints with weld defects defected by visual inspection or dimensional check inspection shall not be accepted. Suitable means shall be provided for holding the bars securely in position during welding. It must be ensured that no voids are left in welding. When welding is done in 2 or 3 stages, the surface shall be cleaned properly. After each stage, bars shall be cleaned of all loose scales, rust, grease, paints, and other foreign matter before carrying out welding. Only components and experienced welders shall be employed on the work with the approval of the engineer. No welding shall be done on coated bars. MS electrodes used for welding shall conform IS 814. Welded joints shall preferably be located at points where steel will not be subject to more than 75% of the maximum permissible stress, and welds are so staggered that at any one section. Not more than 20% of the bars are welded. Specimens of welded pieces of reinforcement taken from the site shall be tested. The number and frequency of tests shall be as directed by the engineer. Mechanical couplers and anchorages. Mechanical couplers. Bars may be joined with approved patented mechanical devices as indicated on the drawings or as approved by the engineer. Example, by special grade steel sleeve switched on to bar in 1 to 1 end 2 end contract or by screwed couplers. In case such devices are permitted by the engineer, they shall deploy at least 125% of the characteristic strength of the reinforcement bar. Encourages. Bar may be encouraged with approved patented mechanical encourages as indicated on the drawings or as approved by the engineer. The encourage shall be connected to the reinforcing bars by the use of taper thread system. The encourage shall be capable of developing the characteristic strength of reinforcement without damage to concrete and shall have sufficient diameter and width to deploy adequate shear cone strength. The condition shall develop 125% of the characteristic strength of reinforced bar. Testing and acceptance. The material shall be tested in accordance with relevant ISO specification and necessary test certificates shall be furnished. Additional tests, if required, shall be carried out by the contractors at his own cost. The supply, fabrication, and placing of reinforcement shall be in accordance with these specifications and shall be as checked and accepted by the engineer. Manufacturers test certificate regarding compliance with the Indian standards for each lot of steel shall be obtained and submitted to the engineer. If required by the engineer, the contractor shall carry out conformity test in the presence of a person authorized by the engineer. Cost of these tests shall be borne by the contractor. The sampling and testing procedure shall be as laid down in IS 1786. If any test pieces selected from a lot fails, no retesting shall be done and the lot shall be rejected. Measurement for payment. Reinforcement shall be measured in length including hooks, if any separate for different diameter as actually used in work, excluding overlapping from the length so measured. The weight of reinforcement shall be calculated in returns on the basis of IS 1732 wastage, overlapping, coupling, welded joints, spacer bars, chairs, stays, hangers, and annealed steel wire or other methods of binding and placing shall not be measured, and costs of these items shall be deemed to be included in the rates of enforcement. Rate: the contract unit rate for quoted unquoted enforcement shall cover the cost of material, royalty, fabricating, transporting, storing, bending, placing, binding and fixing in position as shown on the drawing and as per the specification and as directed by the engineer. Including all labors, equipment, supplies, incidental sampling, testing, and supervision. The unit rate for quoted enforcement shall be deemed to also include cost of all materials, labors, tools, and plants, royalty, transportation, and expertise required to carry out the quoting work as well as sampling, testing, and supervision required for the work.